What is up? Week 3, the sixth man. We here. It's good times. Happy New Year, everyone. How are my GMs doing?
New Year.
Happy New Year.
We good? We good? I'm feeling exceptional, and I'll tell you why. So let it play, baby. Everybody, you're Philadelphia 76ers. We could go all day. The Sixers have the best record in the NBA as it stands at 6-1. It feels great. And do you know what? Because I don't have a set of teams, this is the only way I can celebrate. So I'm rocking AI, the truth, the man, my hero. That was just me. I'm just feeling myself. I'm feeling my team. My team are doing good. We're not going to be talking about Philly, hopefully next week. But yeah, the two divisions we're going to talk about are the Southwest and the Northwest. So a little bit of rivals. We are going to head over to my man. He's repping team colours. I like this process that you're going through and making sure it's strong. So we're starting off strong. Jay Wild, the Atlanta Hawks. How are Hawks doing?
Yeah, they're doing good. They had a good start and tailed off a little bit. So now we're 4-3 after the 4-0 start. I think Ed's bragging of both of our undefeations has scuppered the Hawks mojo, and now we lose to both Cavs, which everybody's losing to, and the Knicks. So and also we had that loss to the Nets, of course, which is a lot more forgivable. I'm going to spin it into a positive, though. I think that because we have such a young core, it's a good thing that we're losing to teams that were predicted to have lesser records than ourselves. You want them to gain some controversy early on, so they need to learn and understand that they need to bring it every night. It doesn't matter who you're facing, because they could easily be on par with the Sixers, which is another team I picked, by the way.
Who are who have the best record in the NBA. Just putting that out there.
In the East Coast as well, I have Sixers who are top, Hawks which 8th, dead middle, and then I have the worst team as the Pistons. So I've covered all bases with my East Coast picks. I think in terms of our Hawks, next few games that we have coming up, we have 2 Hornets games, and so hopefully get our mojo back in those 2. And then it heats up a little bit with the 76ers, Suns, Jazz, and Trailblazers. So it's getting interesting. We've shown that we can beat high level teams in the Nets. So we definitely got that, but we just need to get consistent. Rajon Rondo won't be back for another 3 games. We've got a lot of guys averaging in double figures. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in double digits, which is a really good number. Makes us nice and deep. A lot of ways that we can beat a lot of shooters. It's not panic stations, but we just need to tighten up when we're going against these teams that we know we're better than.
Waldy, a point that I want to make, in your final 2 games of this week, you lose to the Knicks and the Cavs. Both close games, both winnable games. I sense a lack of inexperience with closing out in both of those games. And you fell apart both in the final quarter. What actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, against Cavs was the grittiest in terms of taking it, because John Collins misses a dunk. That isn't to put us up or anything, but it is to put it within 1 possession. Credit to the young guards of the Cavs, they hit their free throws, which ultimately it wasn't we screwed up and they executed. So Bogdanovic makes a really big 3, but that was. He was 1 of 2 in 2 really important 3-pointers that he took. Unfortunately, he didn't make the first one. He made the second one when it was all a little bit too late. But just I think the fact that he can even make and take and make those is great. He has been my favorite new addition. He's unbelievable. The threes that he makes is great. Every time he takes a shot, I feel like it's going in, and that's really, really good. I also want to give a shout out to Solomon Hill because put some respect on his name because we shouted him out when I drafted the Hawks and he's been playing real well. So it's I'm loving Solomon now. We call him he's Solo.
Who?
Solo. It's his nickname.
Like Han Solo?
Our announcer Bob Rathburn. It's like Solo for 3. It's so funny, man.
That's news to me.
Yeah, I think it's news to all of us. Here's a question. Here's a question for you all. I know. Well, I'm hoping all of you saw the next game that the Hawks won this week. Was their only win this week. John Collins put in Jared Allen on a poster. And also, you have the second play, the tray off the backboard lob. Which one was better, guys? Because they were both disgusting, nasty.
I think I prefer the Jared Allen one purely because Jared Allen has blocked people like LeBron. He is a really good rim protector. John Collins is small for his position. And when it happened, I was like, rewind, like, I see that again. So, that's why that's my favourite. But, off the backboard is like, that's usually just 2K territory. You rarely see that in a game, in a set play. Wasn't even in fast break.
Yeah, it was in traffic. It's got to be the off the backboard one. You just don't see that. That was seriously impressive. John Collins,
exactly.
He's been chasing money at the start of the season. He's been on highlight reels all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, John Collins, big Chelsea fan, so that's great.
You're welcome.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Is he though?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Him, Larry Nance, Josh Hart, big Chelsea fans. True story.
Interesting.
There's just all over just social media. It comes up on my Chelsea feeds on Bleacher. Just saying.
Should we stick on the football theme? There's a certain guy in this chat. He's feeling a bit nervous. He's a bit on edge. His team's got a big game tonight, semi-final against Manchester Derby. I know. Yeah. How are you feeling, Matt? How are you feeling to start on this?
Feeling confident about my football team because we are joint top of the league, but also feeling confident with my two NBA teams I'm about to talk about tonight. So it's all good over here. It's all good up north.
Well, Matt, I know I was putting people on blast, and I didn't want to leave you out, and I feel like of the common theme of photoshops and all this goodness, I think it's only important, or it's only essential that I should really tell you, or really show you who you really are, and that is the Lancashire Van Beer. So you are certified, my friend. You are certified.
Where did you get that picture from? I think only my mum has that downstairs. Like
I have my ways, Matt.
That's where he got it from.
Hey, he's travelling in that tier 5.
I'm staying away from the Mars bars up north. Anyway, we've gone from Pistons. Let's stick it in the East. The Wizards this week, one of the only teams that we're going to cover this week who actually had a positive record. They went 2-1 this week. They're 2-5 overall. Matt, how are you feeling about the Washington Wizards?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously we did start off the season by losing the first 5 games. However, we have won the most recent 2, and that's all that matters really. But no, like this week, narrow defeat to the Bulls. Just right at the end, Bradley Beal missed like a simple layup, to be honest, and he just lost control of the ball. That's where the game really came down to. But then, good win against Minnesota. Nice, comfortable win there without Russell Westbrook. That was the first time he'd sat out a game this season. But Bradley Beal was great in that game. And then a tasty win against the Nets with both Kyrie and KD missing game-winning shots in the very last few seconds of the game. So nice to see a bit of luck go my way for once.
Were you surprised they missed that? Because also, here's another thing is, really ironically, KD and Kyrie talked about how, Kyrie's on a team with somebody he feels he can make the last shot, and they both missed. I wonder if LeBron was looking at that like, yeah, I bet.
I think the Kyrie shot is one of those. I think the KD one, I was more surprised with that he missed it. If you actually just look at that type of jump shot, he's usually going to nail those, isn't he? Just outside the paint. So the KD one, I was more surprised with. But yeah, it was a tight game, and the Wizards just took it.
Do you expect the Wizards to go on a run?
I'd say something that's interesting is that Rui Hachimura missed the first 4 games of the season. He had conjunctivitis, and since he's come back, they had the narrow defeat against the Bulls, and then the 2 wins against both Minnesota and the Nets. And he's been averaging 14 points, which is what he did last season, anyways. So it'd be good if now that he's back in the team, more full strength. Westbrook's obviously a triple-double machine. You've got players like Bertans, Bradley Beal's averaging 30 points. There's potential for them to go on a run. The only issue is that the next few games are against 76ers, and then they play the Celtics and the Heat within 24 hours of each other. So it's going to be telling. Next 3 games, definitely for sure.
The Westbrook dynamics is a bit strange to me. I don't know how you guys feel. He drops 4 consecutive triple doubles, and they still haven't won a game. And then the first game that he doesn't play and they win. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Do you think that the Wizards are sometimes better without Westbrook?
So to clarify, we had back-to-back games against the Wizards. Russell Westbrook didn't play the second of those back-to-back. He was resting that game as well. And I think with Westbrook's triple-doubles, it's weird. You don't necessarily notice he's on a triple-double. It's only when the context says something, you're like, oh shit, he's only 2 rebounds away from a triple-double. I did not know that. So rebounds I find quite a misleading statistic, because I don't care if you get a rebound when there's 4 of your guys there. It doesn't matter. It's getting those rebounds when there's 2 opposition around you and you're there by yourself. Those are the sort of rebounds you care about. So I do feel the whole triple-double stat is quite misleading in terms of impact. But not to say that Russell Westbrook still doesn't have an immense impact, but yeah, I don't think the triple doubles thing is as big as people will say it is, but maybe that's just me being a bit naive.
Interesting. Even in the final game, Thomas Bryant picks up 14 rebounds, and Westbrook, he only actually has 5, and they win. So I don't know if that's, maybe I'm picking at straws here, clutching at straws.
I mean,
I don't know.
You got it.
I mean, yeah, I think there is empty calories to it a bit. I think even in his MVP season, there are empty calories to those big triple-double numbers. I think you mentioned Thomas Bryant. He thrives off getting assists from Westbrook. That is somewhere where Westbrook is really impacting the game, because Thomas Bryant is one of the young up and coming centers in the league, and I think when he can get 20 and 14, they're so much more likely to win. And you kind of mentioned with the rebounds as well, as a difficult one for Westbrook. He is a good offensive rebounder. He flies in for some of those, keeps it alive, and it's his decision making when he does that. Okay, he can get a rebound. He kicks it out to Beal, and Beal can then nail a shot. That's huge, especially in the late game situations. But yeah, I think don't put too much stock in his stats, because he's just kind of everywhere on the court. You know that's who he is.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I just think also, if in games where he's only getting 5 rebounds, they end up winning, they don't need him to be averaging a triple-double. He did it for 3 seasons straight. We get it. You can do that. But you're in a new situation now, where you've got a bunch of young guys who you mentioned, Bray. They're really really thriving off of his passing ability. Also, his ability to attack the rim in transition. Don't worry about grabbing that rebound and going coast to coast. Limit your mileage that you're getting game on game as you're getting older. Just get out on the break, get the outlet pass, either drive to the hoop or kick it down the floor to get them even more assists. So I think he needs to lean more into the assist side of things and worrying about getting his rebound numbers up.
I think they benefit more if he's averaging 14 assists and 5 rebounds than if he's 10 and 10.
Yeah.
I genuinely 100%. Think that. Now, obviously, it's his decision making has always been the thing that we look at, and it's if he can flip that switch and say, all right, I don't need to get 10 rebounds a game. Here's what I need to do to help impact winning. and help out guys like the Japanese Michael Jordan, as you mentioned, Rui Hachimura, to kind of to get theirs as well.
There's one thing
Japanese player bar must be low.
if there's one thing our listeners are going to know is who is the Japanese Michael Jordan. Definitely been dropped more than once. So let's stay in that division, head over to LaMelo land, and that is the Charlotte Hornets. How is Michael Jordan's team doing? The roof is the ceiling.
Well, I don't know what's going on. First off, I don't know what's going on with the reflection in my forehead, but you could say like my forehead's brighter than the Hornets' future right now with the way things are going. So at the moment, Hornets are on like a losing streak. They've lost 3 straight, struggling against, your team. Yeah, there it is again. So I think at the moment now that we've got a kind of short break from that series. That's what they're looking forward to going forward. Those 2 games against the Hornets were a really big struggle for them with those big defeats. However, the Hornets have like shown and proven glimpses of what they're able to do, like with the defeat of their Nets game, which ended 104-106 early on. That was back in December on the 27th, I believe. Yeah, so it's rocky. Not gonna lie about that. I'm a bit shaky on at this point if you go either way or the other. But again, it's the beginning of the season. I'm just hoping that going forward, they can pick it up and go back with it. Like as a team, like they're still gaining some good stats, especially with Scary Terry out there on the court as well.
I'm just going to read out some of the stat lines from LaMelo over the past week. So against the Mavs, 22-8-5. Mm-hmm. First game against Philly, he was 13-4-5. And another game against Philly, he was 12-7-9. This is in limited minutes. These are really good stats. How is LaMelo Ball playing? I know his jumper is still ugly as hell.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, like his jumper still needs a bit of work. Like everyone can see that. I think especially like straight away at the beginning where it was taking those first few shots, like a lot of them look kind of rocky and people were getting worried. But like I think at this point, like you can see like his position within the team when he's passing the ball and moving around, like his effort and determination is definitely there. You see it all the time when he's off the ball on defense, like he's making runs and trying to throw off his man, basically. His marking from getting the ball, getting the shots and going for the rebound. So overall, I like his passion and the drive which he's got there to succeed. I really think it's a really good fit. I think it's just like the small improvements which they just need to work on. So like, as you've seen, like if you go back to the way he used to play when he was younger, where he would just rush up the court and throw like a long shot off, like you see his calculations, even though like what Matt Bray said before, like right at the beginning in a couple of episodes, he's just more like a highlight player, even though, yeah, he's getting those assists and those highlights, like he's still doing the other things to help his team get the results which they want, or at least trying.
We like to see that. I think he's building a good relationship with Bridges off the bench. I think Devontae Graham is a dead man walking.
Yeah.
Back-to-back games, he shot 2 of 20 from the field, and this man has really been struggling. He obviously came into his own last year and actually earned the starting spot. But I think it could be a matter of time until LaMelo actually moves into starting lineup. And to be honest, I was worried if he was ever going to be able to play defense, but he's playing well. He's playing well.
Yeah.
Last question I have for you, George. So the only win for the Hornets this week, played the Mavs. There's a player on your team called Caleb Martin. He gets into a fight with James Johnson, who I think is a black belt.
Yes, in multiple.
Oh my goodness!
In multiple arts.
Yes.
What is he doing? What's he
I've-
doing? Why is he getting in a fight with James?
I have no idea, because if you go back and look at the footage, like I couldn't even see much of a close up, but you barely see what happened. You just see a push and then it just spark off. But like you said, it's a good thing they didn't let it go any further, or like we sending my player back in a ball like in Space Jam. Just roll him up and bowl him down.
One player.
Way.
There's one player I don't want to be fighting is James Johnson. No
Honestly.
way in hell.
There was DeMar DeRozan told a similar story on All the Smoke. He was like, my welcome to the league moment was when Steven Jackson was talking shit to someone, like just all kinds of shit. And the guy turned around and went to say something back and went, "Oh no, it's you, Jack. Oh, we're all right. We're good. We're cool."
Yeah.
He was like, "What's going on?" I'll be ready to fight this dude, but everyone knows the rep. They're like,
Yeah.
It sounds like if AJ was talking to a girl. Yeah, you good? You good? Right, let's move on to the fourth team in this division, the Southwest. I've been waiting for this all week. This man has been giving it all of that last week. All of that last week. And to be honest, Ed is actually the only person I haven't put on blast. And he said at the end
I was waiting for this.
last
Okay,
week,
here we go.
he was like, I hate when I get compliments. I was like, okay, you don't want compliments. All right. So, so last week, my college team spanked Ed's college team. Not really college team, but his college team can't even compete in our league. Anyway, we smacked him up 55-20. We're going to speak about this, but the Sixers smacked up the Magic, ruined their undefeated record. And I was thinking, how am I going to get Ed? So I've come up with a concept, and he's called House of Laskus. But this week, I want everyone to hold up an L, because he is the House of L's.
Right. So I'm gonna find a way to get my back at Emily, because she's the one who took that picture.
And there's the power card. If you want to put it.
Here we go. There we go.
And I'll read it out. I'll read it out for you. It says, when you've been acting up, everyone starts roasting you, which you should. Just use this card and take the L. So I'm just holding up my L.
Hey, Alex.
Tell me how the Magic are doing.
Thank you for opening the door for me and allowing me to come at you. So you better watch yourself, what I'm saying. So back to important business, Lara. I'm not going to go on too long because I could spend the whole 2 hours just talking about the Magic, but I won't. So overall, we're 5-2, which is pretty sick. Second in the whole league, which is pretty good. We won't talk about who's first because they're shit. So a couple of things to know. We played last game was against Cleveland, and Cleveland, I'm surprised how good they are. Watching them play, it's like, oh gosh, like Colin Sexton has taken a massive jump. It's like, wow, he's really, really good and just really confident in what he does. But yeah, Cleveland looked quite solid. We beat them, which is a nice win considering we just lost to the Thunder. The positive is that we did beat them in the last game we played them, but it was a tough game to the end. We had a couple shooters missing, so Evan Fournier's got back spasms, which doesn't help us when he is probably our most reliable three-point shooter, which tells you all you need to know if Evan Fournier is your most reliable three-point shooter. Terrence Ross has been on fire in fuego. He played out of the 7 games, he's played 6 of them, and in each game he has been fouled on a three-point attempt, which is ridiculous. That's like James Harden stats. He was averaging 20 points a game off the bench. That was giving us a massive boost. But like with previous years, it's always been the three-point percentage that's been the Magic's kryptonite. Funny enough, last year in the league, they were 24th in three-point shooting. This year in the league, they're 24th in three-point shooting. So I love the consistency at least. That's the bane of the team. Before the game against Cleveland, Aaron Gordon was 15% from three-point range. Against Cleveland, he went 6 of 9. from 3-point range, which
It's Bob Ross, baby. Bob Ross.
the Bob Ross. So those are the sort of things that like we're just so reliant on having good 3-point shooting, like a lot of other teams are. But for the Magic, it's just so evident. The one cool thing about our shooting is that we are leading the league in free throw percentage. We're 83%, which I think is actually kind of cool. Yeah, that's just my thoughts overall on the Magic, giving you a quick nutshell of how we're doing so far. Will this be sustainable? I don't think so. I don't think Terrence Ross will continue scoring 20 points a game. I would love it if he would, but it's a lot to ask for him coming off the bench. And this is what happened to him 2 years ago. He has periods where he's just absolutely on fire, hitting everything, and then have other down periods where he's missing bad shots, but it is what it is.
Had a random 50-point game, didn't he, in Toronto? Way back in the day.
Yeah, super random.
Super random game. The win against the Cavs, fewest points the Magic have allowed all season, and we know Orlando, how good they can be defensively. The question I want to ask you is about Markelle Fultz. Okay, so in the past 2 games, Fultz has got 12 points on 16 shots. And last night, he had a disgusting dunk. It was very nice. Enjoyed it. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 turnovers in 31 minutes. The reason I'm bringing him up is because his counterpart, Cole Anthony, comes on 21 minutes, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Could he surpass him?
Couple things. Firstly, selective stats, because you said 5 turnovers. All those 5 turnovers came in the first half. So don't try to do this little Skip Bayless, trying to do things to fit your agenda, Alex. All right, I'm all over you. All right. He also had 5 turnovers in all the previous games combined. So don't come at me about Markelle. Anyway, when you were talking about the Magic's defense, I thought you were actually going to mention Michael Carter-Williams, because he actually started the past couple of games since Fournier's been out, and they want to keep Terrence Ross on the bench. So for all you MCW haters, come at me. I thought that's where you're going to go, but we're speaking about Fultz and Cole Anthony. So Cole Anthony has been really, really mature for a rookie point guard coming in. He has made some really good decisions, and he's been very assertive with his shot selection and his shot taking, going to the rim, which is really, really nice to see. He won't surpass Markelle. I think the long-term vision is it will be a 2-guard lineup with Markelle and Cole Anthony. So for now, it's fine. And he helps the bench really well in terms of being a creator. If it's bringing in Ken Birch, doing some nice pick and rolls with him. They had a really nice connection, Ken Birch and Markelle and Cole Anthony did. So I really like him coming off the bench, but even if he does start, it'll be cool. He works on the bench just fine. He can provide some scoring there alongside Terrence Ross. Works.
Yeah, there's some nice minutes together in the fourth. I think Fultz found Cole for a free, so that was really nice. But it's good. Maturing his game along. Let's move from Ed, and Ed actually created this next person's nickname. So I've gone ahead, and I've also added to this. I just want to say this is your peak, peak muscle. You'll see what I mean. There he is, Mr. Bray. It's Salt Bray. Bray, you look like you've been in the gym, boy.
Wow,
it's a lie.
Let's talk about your proper team, and you're wearing their jersey, the Miami Heat, the Eastern Conference champions. Bray, we were joking. The Bulls are still your team, and now you're wearing jerseys.
Brian can't be seeing this. Brian can't see.
It's fine. Brian's allowed to see it. Like the Bulls have had some very, very lucky games recently, I will say. But I'm out here repping the team I'm going to talk about. I've got the Miami jersey on. This is the nicest one. The new ones aren't as nice. The new core isn't as nice. So let's not get into that. Bring back the old one. They're trying too hard with it. I can't remember what they called it. I think it was like the.
I'm with you. It looks.
Yeah, they call it
the candy floss ones. I'm with you, bro.
They're terrible.
The headache ones. They're the headache ones.
Yeah, they're dead.
They're like when you go to the cinema and you get like the double slushy cup. It's awful, man.
It was so hard to watch. I can't imagine being on defense trying to spot where the players are, because I was trying to watch it. I had no idea where anyone was.
You get a headache. It's tough. So yeah, bring back the old stuff. It looked way better. But they have been middle of the road. Absolutely middle of the road. They're 500 at the moment, 3-3. They had a series with the Bucks, which they split, and Jimmy Butler's only played in 4 of their 6 games. They are still definitely coming up to speed. Their, key players like Bam is going off. He's getting a lot of turnovers, and that's true of the whole team. Their offense really isn't clicking yet. They're not finding the same groove that they did last year, where Hero was on fire, Dragic was on fire, and Jimmy Butler was just doing work. They haven't been able to find it yet, and I think the reason is because they went so far into the offseason, they're still working back, both from a fitness level and also injuries. JB's been banged up, so I can't really have anything too much from that. Also, from a consistency standpoint, Tyler Hero's 20, and he's recently been inaugurated with the starting role, not one he had for the entirety of last year. So it's a little bit of adjustment to come there. One of the things I'm a little bit concerned about is defense, because they're allowing some of the most 3-pointers in the league, which, do or die. Their game, they lost against the Bucks. The Bucks went haywire and shot the lights out of that ball. And it's really just do or die by the 3, which I think we're seeing with a lot of teams now, and is really deciding a lot more games. So I think they still need to protect the paint, but they need to run teams off the 3-point line and make sure that they're forcing some lower efficiency shots there as well. But as a result of the turnovers that I mentioned, they have a bottom 5 offense. So that brings in, are they a hardened destination? What do the rest of you guys think about that?
I mean, I don't know just how much it shakes up there. I know you said they're having trouble clicking at the moment, but we know that they have it as a unit and they can find it when it needs to be there, come playoff time and when it comes time to win. How much they're willing to give up for Harden, and if Harden can even fit in that system. The other thing about it is that the Miami Heat are obviously very famous about their conditioning. We've already made a zillion jokes about Harden's Santa waistline. So, they might just opt to go and get his numbers. Obviously they love him. They'll love him on the stat sheet, but how much they feel like they can, control him is going to be the biggest thing for them to tackle with, really. So that before they make any move like that, Pat Riley will have a sit down with James and try and feel out, how manageable it's going to be. But who knows? I mean, every championship team, well, most of the great championship teams have one wacky player on it. Whether that player can potentially be your best player, which James Harden would be offensively on that team, he would need to be more of a leader. But hey, maybe they just have Jimmy for that.
Very true.
It's a great point about culture. Miami definitely go after players that fit that mold, and they don't want to mess with anybody that isn't a part of it or doesn't want to work their ass off, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that
Dion Waiters and his gummies, got to get him straight out of there.
Yeah.
I mean,
just there. If people show up to training camp out of shape, they turn them away at the door. They don't allow their players to play back into shape from the beginning of camp. They make sure their guys take care of themselves over the break. So when they come back, the process starts from day one, whether the cameras are on or off. Miami are all business.
How many years from Pat Riley's life will James Harden take by just the shape he's in? Like, Pat Riley will just be going crazy at him.
Yeah, completely.
Pat Riley's not young either. Like, we need him around for longer. So maybe it is a bad idea.
Yeah. Speaking of age, I was just going to say, Eric Spoelstra's a vampire. That's all I have to say. He's like 50, and he looks like younger than me. I'm 25.
There was that picture of him working as like an intern, and he hasn't changed at all.
No,
he hasn't changed at all. That's a really cool story. I love that story. Another guy you don't want to mess with, Pat Riley, the Godfather. He looks the part, man. He just looks cool. He looks really cool. Let's move. We've just finished the Southwest. And funny enough, the Heat actually just played this team. So we're going to move to this team next. Wally, you're going to be going up first again. Speaking about my second team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. How is OKC doing?
OKC. Yeah, look, I mean, OKC is the team that was gifted to me by other people's picks within our draft. But I've been to their games, seen them live with you when you were in OKC, man. So I like them as a franchise. Obviously, love the whole Russ era. So I've been reunited with Al Horford and Mike Muscala to forwards Muskie. So yeah, I think in all seriousness, the key things is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think last year, yeah, he had a nice season.
Time All-Star, isn't he? That's what I heard.
Well, hey, if you listen to last week, a lot of people heard that. You lost that round though, bud. Sorry. So yeah, he's averaging 18, 4, and 6. I think that's really good for him. And it's really nice to see him come in on the first game and hit a game winner. It really shows well for his development and attitude, because I think in the playoffs last year, he was looking a little bit intimidated in that sort of game 7. If he was playing even half as well as he's playing this season in that series, I think, well, in fact, I know OKC would have beaten Houston because of how close all those games were. So, it's nice to see him come in with the way that he's playing and doing the team really well. Baisley, he is in his second year with them. Really nice player. He's getting some double doubles for them. He's looking really nice. He's quite. He seems undersized for his position. Well, he's small forward / power forward, but he's getting boards. So he's putting in the work. And if your forwards are getting the boards, then he's a good effort guy.
You know why he's getting the boards is because Horford is not doing anything. And do you know how I know? It's because Horford is on my fantasy team because I'm the chump that picked him. But I've also got Baisley. So it's all good.
Oh yeah. I mean, Al, he's doing okay. He's averaging 9. He's gonna be better off in the locker room for them. That's why he's good to have. It's not like Al Horford was a big thing that they wanted to go for. This is the start of a rebuild for them. So Al Horford is good to have in the locker room. So these young pieces that they have, and all the young pieces they're going to be bringing in with all these draft picks they've accumulated through trades, he's going to help develop those guys. Hopefully that's going to be a nice relationship moving forward.
Which stupid franchise will make that decision to give him that contract that they did? Like, what stupid franchise will make such a decision?
See, what happened is we wanted Jimmy. And Jimmy was like, I'm not going to do it. And then we just panic. We give Al Horford the money. He's laughing though.
Isn't that same team 6-1 right now?
Oh, yes it is. Yes it is.
Okay. Okay. All right. Say no more, my G.
See how we power up. They were tired. They were tired of you talking smack. Waldy, just a question on the Hawks. I know that your team were basing this off of wins. Do you think that the Thunder are the worst team in the NBA?
Hang on. How come you talked about my Hawks and then talked about worst teams in the NBA?
No, I spoke about the Thunder.
Oh, I know you misspoke. Okay, bye.
No. The Thunder. Did I say Hawks?
You did say the Hawks. You did say Hawks.
That's okay. I was just making sure. Hey.
I was testing you, and you passed.
What's that one again?
Yeah, we this isn't the Parantich team anymore. We're getting wins now. So other Thunder the worst team. I think they weirdly were aiming to be with the bench that they have, but no, I don't think they are. I think with the way Shea's playing, I think I'd probably take them over. Well, hey, I'd take them over Detroit, even though I have both those teams right now. So hey, you just look at the record, and at least OKC, well, bar Al Horford, haven't got a bunch of humongous contracts.
One word answer from you, just to close this out. Player that gets traded first, George Hill or Al Horford?
George Hill.
George Hill, interesting. Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? We're about to find out, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be making some moves. Sam Presti is known for making good moves. Bar James Harden trade. I know we're going to talk about. Okay, let's move on to a team which has done 500 this week. Got an overall record of 4-3. It is the Utah Jazz. Ed, how are you feeling about the Jazz?
So in Salt Lake City, we're doing okay. It's a bit of inconsistency, which feels like an ongoing theme for a lot of teams. So the big game to talk about was yesterday for us. I watched the first half, which was Brooklyn, Utah. And my God, did they look bad. This is Brooklyn without Kevin Durant. They were down 20-5 within the first 6 minutes. And that's when Rudy Gobert got benched and, subbed off. Well, benched is a bit of a harsh word, but he got taken off. And their defense looked dreadful. Jaren Allen was doing everything he wanted. Kyrie Irving was just like willy-nilly going up to the rim. It was just so easy. And I remember when we had a discussion previously about Rudy Gobert, when Jordan sort of checked us, I'm like, listen, stop comparing him to people. Like, he is what he is. Just focus on the positives he can do. And I thought, maybe I was being very harsh on Gobert. But watching that first half, it was really tough watch. The only time he got anything going offensively was a funny little pick and roll him and Joe Ingles would do. Joe Ingles would bring the ball forward, set a nice screen, and then Jared Allen just stood there like, okay, I don't know what to do with these two big fellas. And that was the only way he got any offense all of yesterday, or from the first half that I did watch. The game ended 130-96, which tells you a lot of what you need to know, and it was over by the first quarter. The one thing I would say is I was hoping for bigger production from Bogdanovic. I really like Bogdanovic, the Utah one. He was injured for them throughout the playoffs. I had him last season in fantasy, and he was putting up buckets when Donovan wasn't performing, because I had both of them. And
Ed, can I speak about Bogdanovic? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So in the past 3 games, we've got Bogdanovic against the Clippers. They win the game. He shoots 3 of 12, gets 6 points. The next game he played the Spurs, he wins. He goes insane. He has 28 points. He shoots 10 of 13. Yeah. Last night, 4 points in 27 minutes. What can he do moving forward to be more consistent?
So, it's a good question. Obviously, he just came back from an injury in the playoffs, and the first shot he took yesterday was a really nice little bucket. It was like one of those, you'd love to see those old school buckets back against a basket, just turn mid-range jumper. So sweet to watch. That was the only sort of tough shot he had. The other of his shots were like open shots where you felt he should have hit, like in the rhythm of the way the ball was moving, like, oh, definitely should shoot there. He would shot, he would miss. That's why I'm not too worried about it overall. He is coming again back into it, coming back from an injury. I would say I would be worried. However, he did have that breakout game against the Spurs, saying that, you know what, he definitely has it in him. He just needs a couple more reps under him. That's my thoughts on Bogdanovic. Also want to mention for Utah in general, sorry, Alex, today they'll play another game. They will play 6 games in 8 nights, which takes a massive toll. Like, that's a lot of games to play in a week and a bit period. 6 games is a lot of games to play. So that's also something else to consider with Utah.
Is there one player who will be an X factor for the Jazz moving forward? I saw that Royce O'Neal came in, had a nice game the other night. In the Spurs win, he had 11-11-5. He's really a defensive player for them. He doesn't really do much offensive side. Is there anyone that you've seen that maybe that you like on the Jazz side?
So outside of Bogey, I was going to say I sort of like the confidence Jordan Clarkson brings to the offense, because when he has the ball, he's like, I don't care. I'm going to take the shot. I can create some offense. Although sometimes his shooting stats are horrible. If you're just plus minus, it would be like minus 20. I really like the attitude he does bring to them on offense, because sometimes Donovan can be a bit passive. And if their offense isn't as potent as you potentially would want them to be, considering they got some decent scorers. Mike Conley as well. We all know he can score the ball if need be. But I'll leave you in a couple last points on Utah. They have allowed the third highest percentage 3 points against them. So only Spurs and one other team have got a worse 3 points percentage. Like they're shooting at a 40% clip against themselves on 3 points, which in the modern NBA, you can't allow to happen. And funny enough, actually, they are bottom in steals this year, which for a team that's got Gobert and you expect to have a little bit of defensive presence is quite disappointing. So I'll leave you with that for Utah. We'll check back in a couple of weeks.
Utah, interesting situation.
We're above 500, so we're Gucci, unlike some other teams.
Sending shots. Let's talk about a team which is below 500. You know what time it is. Let's go to my man, Jord, and his own team, the Portland Trailblazers. Jord, I'm so sorry for what happened this week, though, man. How you feeling?
It hurts. I'll tell you what, I see why they call those final shots a dagger, man. It was a true dagger.
How did you lose to the Bulls?
The thing is now, looking at like the board, right? I'm worried with where my teams are situated with the Bulls as well in the East, because if you look where the Nets are and then the Bulls and my Hornets, like they're quite close. So I'm nervous about that. But anyway, moving on back to the Blazers. So current record, we're 3-4. We're currently on a losing streak of 2, thanks to the Bulls and Levine. Emotional time. Yeah, but it's these positions are hard to be in because when your teams fight against each other, you can't be happy and you can't be upset. So. But
yeah,
anyway,
but you can be upset, George, because you have loyalties.
I do have loyalties, man. I do
have won that damn game.
But I also want to prove that I wasn't as wacky with choosing the Bulls. Like, imagine if they do make the playoffs. But anyway,
that's hell of an imagination.
I know, right?
The SpongeBob there.
Yeah. But boy, would I be strolling down the street happy if that happened.
People in the street would be like, oh, do you know why he's happy? He picked the ball. Everyone would know why you would be happy as well.
10th in conference, second in division. So take that as you will. But yeah, so the thing is with the Blazers, where I have my feelings with them is that I feel like we're a team who quite often get themselves on the back foot, especially like during the beginning of the season. It's like we take time to like test the waters and then we would take off and make a final push and make the playoffs in that scenario. So in this kind of instance, it's like, yeah, I want us to win games, especially games where we should win, especially games where we are up by 20 points. But in terms of like the bigger picture and being the back foot, I'm not as worried. Again, with the Blazers team, like I'm at that point as a fan where I do want us to be reaching for more and not be content with the back foot and making the final push and then battling again in the playoffs and using all that energy. So it's just a question of if we're going to change like patterns or rhythms, how we're going to do it. Because now we, like a lot of the players and the coaching staff said, we do have that help. We do have those pieces in play, which can ease the pressure of Lillard and McCollum. But I think it's still a matter of the fact finding a way for them to implement that effectively and move forward in the game. So it just depends on whether they want to or how they're going to move forward with those.
The biggest pain for the Blazers is your reliance on CJ and Lillard.
Definitely, yeah.
You've got Covington and Derek Jones Jr. in the starting lineup. They've hardly done anything, and I know you don't rely on them to get a certain amount of points, and Covington's a really good defender. They just haven't turned up, and you look at the box score and it's like 25, 0, 0, 3. It's so frustrating because if you're a team and you're thinking about okay, well, here's our number one weapon. All they've really got to worry about, because Nurkic hasn't turned up this season, is Dame and CJ, and then you've got Cantor off the bench. Pretty easy to guard, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one thing that's really, really annoying.
The thing is, it gets to that point in your mind where you think, like, I think as a team, we get that stigma and flack, like, of, Lillard and CJ aren't working, so you need to move one of them, and it's up to you. So obviously, we're in the mindset of, no, we can make this work. We love them both, and they have proven like they can do that, and we're willing to go out and get that help and prove that this will work. But I think from past experiences and past performances, okay, it gets to that point where we've done this same thing of running everything through them and let them like kind of take it and take control. It gets to the point where you think, when are we doing too much of trying to force this situation and it become craziness? Like, I'm trying to think of that saying. What is that saying again, where you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result?
If you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same result. And
yeah,
to tie both your points together, when Denver last year, when they were in the playoffs, they got the nickname the comeback kids. But honestly, with Denver, as you mentioned, being on the back foot and getting themselves in these situations, with Portland getting themselves in these situations where it seems like early in the season they're losing, and then they have to go on these amazing runs just to make the playoffs. They did that 2 years in a row. I feel like they're the originators of the whole comeback kids type of feel.
Definitely.
And it ties into what Alex is saying, is that when they are your only two guys, they're managing themselves through the season so that when it comes time to them to win, that's when they really turn it on and they become truly unstoppable. But that can't happen for a whole season, so they just do it once their back's against the wall.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It gets to the point where I think if they've decided to keep them both and be like, we're making this work, I think it's at a point where they need to come up with a new game plan around the system, especially with all the new players which they brought in, instead of trying to force them into the position which we already have, which we have proven in the past isn't doing enough for us.
Let's move from one Western Conference playoff team last year to another. Move to one of my favorite places in America, in Denver, with the Nuggets, with the Lancashire Land Beer. How are the Western Conference finalists doing this season?
Similar story to the Wizards in terms of poor starts to the season, picked up of late. They were 1-4 before this week. However, they have won their most recent 2 games. So they're now currently 3-4. I must have a shout out. Obviously, Bray's going to speak next, but the Timberwolves, they have gifted me 3 out of my 4 wins for my 2 teams this week. So many thanks to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thank you very much for that.
That's so true.
So like the defeat against the Suns, again, that was a narrow defeat, losing 103-106. They were down 104-100 with about 7 seconds left. Jokic managed to nail a 3-pointer, which gave the chance for another go with about 3 seconds to go. But unfortunately, Jamal Murray couldn't knock that down. And then, 2 back-to-back wins against the Timberwolves. First game, winning 124-109. Jamal Murray scored 26 points in the first half, finishing with 36 by the end of the game. They actually only led by 1 point going into the final quarter, but they just blew the Timberwolves away in the final quarter. They scored 41 points to take the victory. And then the second game was much tighter, but then Jokic, like, what a man.
He's Mr. Salt Code.
Yeah. But in this game, not good enough. He only got 35 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. So poor with only getting 6 assists there from Jokic. Just shocking effort. So that means he's now only averaging 24 points, 11.9 rebounds, 11.9 assists so far this season. So
sweet Lord Jesus. Can we stay on the Joker? Can we stay on the Joker, please? So you spoke about his stats. Jokic leads the NBA in assists with 12.8. He also leads the league in turnovers with 5.3, which is nuts. My question to you, Mr. Harris, is can he continue will he end up being the assist leader at the end of the season? Can he continue this?
There's no reason why it can't be. He proved it he's been in this form for months now, hasn't he? It's not just a spurt at the start of the season. He was like this throughout the whole of the playoffs, and he started the season in the same vein of form. There's absolutely no reason why he can't continue this form. He's playing every game, he's got a good scoring unit around him as well. Like, he's got Jamal Murray in his side too, so it's a perfect setup really for him to go and get that record.
Denver loses some pieces off their bench. They've sort of had time adjusting to it. Two players I want to pick out: JaMychal Green and Campazzo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have been following it, but JaMychal Green.
Who he play for?
Campazzo is a small little point guard. He's had 2 really good games against the Timberwolves. I don't know if Bray has been tracking this. 15 points in the first game, and he had 11 points in the next game. Matt, what do you think about Denver's bench transition this year? Because normally, they have a lot of depth. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. is currently out. He hasn't been back for a long time. How are they doing in the second unit?
It's I'm glad you touched on JaMychal Green, because I was going to bring him up, because obviously they lost Jeremy Grant, and then JaMychal Green's kind of like a replacement for him, and he's on $12 million less a year than Jeremy Grant. And even despite him missing the first 4 games of the season, in the most 3 recent games off the bench, he's averaged 13 points off 62% shooting, and he's getting 5 rebounds. Like, Grant last season got 12 points and 3.5 rebounds a game. So it seems to me that, obviously this is a small sample size, but it's looking promising. And then like him and Campazzo off the bench seem to be linking up really well. So it's looking really promising. Like, despite that 1-4 start, hopefully they start to build it on now.
Do you know what this means? And I think Wildy said it best: never trust a man with 2 first names. Jeremy Grant. We spoke about it last week. JaMychal Green, we don't have that problem, and he's playing really well. That's interesting stats. So let's speak about the team that the Nuggets beat back-to-back times. It's a real dark corner heading over in Minnesota, isn't it, Mr. Bray?
Yeah, it's the dark of night over in Minnesota. There was a reason I didn't pick this team myself. It was left for me at the end. I probably should have done more to avoid this team.
That's the Ed excuse. We'll go with the Ed excuse.
No.
No. I mean,
This is why your teams are losing. You never back your teams. You need to back your teams. This is why you're a shit GM. You need to. I'm backing the Knicks all the time. You see me wear the blue and red all the time.
He's too spicy. Like, we should be ganging up on him. He's like all puffed up because the Magic have won a few games. No, this is ridiculous.
Milk it, because I know it's not going to last. I'm just going to milk it whilst I can.
Let him have his moment.
I mean, look, you might be right there. The Knicks and the Magic might lose some games soon, but I can tell you what will last, and that is the Timberwolves losing streak. Because I was looking at their schedule, and I was looking, going, no, they're better. They are, in my opinion, the second worst team in the league, only just in front of the Detroit Pistons, and it's just not even close. They are the worst defensive team in the league. You can basically, like, if there's a betting line that's like the team that's playing the Wolves will score more than 120 points, take it and run, because every team puts up 120, 130. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's worth mentioning, to caveat this, that Cat played in their first 2 games. They went 2-0. They won their first 2, and then he dislocates his wrist. Hasn't played since, and they're on a 5-game losing streak, which will probably continue. Wouldn't be surprised if that gets to double figures, just because they are a sieve defensively. And you look at their big names: D'Angelo Russell, not known for being a good defender. They've got drafted Anthony Edwards, of course. He's a rookie. Rookies are never good defenders. The game is too quick for them. They need time to adjust. Obviously, they can get better, but it's not going to happen for them this year. And his name is just escaping me. Who's the guy they just paid loads of money?
Beasley.
Malik Beasley. The Malik Beasley show, who's just putting up loads of shots because Cat's not in. I mean, it's dire straits. And, yeah, nothing good to say on that front, I'm afraid.
Bray, I've just got this ahead of me, like you said, because you just mentioned it. So I want you to tell me when the Timberwolves pick up their first wins. You've got Trailblazers,
No,
Spurs, played
No.
them twice,
no,
Grizzlies,
no. Well,
Hawks.
actually,
Maybe
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies.
So
Maybe
Grizzlies.
Maybe
If
Grizzlies.
wait, Morant's not going to be back. It's too soon, isn't it?
No.
Too soon.
Okay, maybe the Grizzlies. Maybe.
Yikes.
I was gonna say obviously we're chatting shit, but like I didn't know that Cat was injured for a little while, has been out because they've got a decent starting five. Like they've got some talent in that roster. That's why I was like surprised. I had them quite high up considering where they are now on my initial draft board, but it seems really surprising how awful the Timberwolves are. Who's their coach anyway? Is it Saunders? Is it still Saunders?
No, I don't think so. I think it's someone else. I mean,
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, look, it all comes down to they can't defend. Like teams run riot over them. It's just abysmal. They are dead last in the NBA. If you want to win games, you need to defend. You look at the teams who grind out unlikely records are always the ones who grind out unlikely games. Like nobody likes watching like a 95 to 90 slugfest, which is a slugfest nowadays. Obviously, you know, even 10 years ago, you'd be like, oh, that was a pretty high scoring game. But like, like it's got like offensive players are so talented now. Like you do need to try and put a stop to them. And obviously with Cat, I've mentioned that he's not a great defender. He's still like better than whatever else they've got. So if he's inside, you might think twice about it. And with their current lineup, you just, oh God, no.
Right, I will say this about the Timberwolves. The two games against the Nuggets, they had really good second and third quarter runs. And they were both in those games. In the fourth quarter, it's just too much Jokic. Another point I also want to make, Ed talked about how good the starting lineup are. It looks good on paper. You know, last week we were talking about stat lines and someone was saying, oh, well, maybe you should put in a bad stat line to shock. I've got some bad stat lines from last night. So here we go. All right. Naz Reid off the bench, 10 minutes, 2 points, 2 turnovers, 5 fouls. All right. And it gets worse. Ricky Rubio, 21 minutes, 0 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 fouls. Nails are the stats.
How many turnovers? How many turnovers for Rubio?
Rubio had. Oh, I didn't check that, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you're going to look at 0 turnovers. Oh, do you know what? He had a good game. Yeah.
Are you talking about
ball
the
security?
Nuggets?
Ball security.
So we're talking about the Nuggets game here, yeah?
Yeah, the most previous.
And this is it. It's the fouls. Like, you obviously don't have good defenders. You've got no one who can match up against Jokic or Murray, so you just have to foul them. And, like, put those guys on the line and they'll make you pay. So,
well, damn, Coach Carter, if I can't defend, where I'm going to go? The answer is this. Probably to the D-League.
So we have broken down Southwest and Northwest. That concludes our first final wrap-up of all 30 teams. We'll obviously be diving back in. We might do it in a different order. We might do it in the same order. Check back in. Let's take a quick break and let's go on to Shoot Your Shot.